Astrobot is non-stop, quick-fire, fun moments, one after the other. Like this look, you can get some nuzzle fuss from a robo-cow. Ah, I love cow. Wait, where are you taking him? Don't you dare probe his anus. And check out these dancing mushroom buddies. Look at that one go. It's like they mo-capped my mum at the club. And then there's these goobers, just chilling in the distance. Goobers. Astrobot is loaded with this kind of charming crap, stuff that puts a smile on your face. And it even includes one of my favourite moments ever in a video game, where for a brief second I thought the tree I'd just watered had a massive pair of tits. Turns out it was just a pair of eyes, but still, for a split second there, it was pretty exciting. So, you may have already heard Astrobot being described as delightful, joyful, adorable, cutie patootie, etc., which it absolutely is. For instance, here's a baby mushroom with a pacifier, which is so cute you could just shit, right? And what about how in order to rescue your fellow Astrobots, you have to give them a boot up the Jackson? Totes adorbs. But then, of course, a substantial portion of what makes Astrobot so friggin' swell is the gameplay. Astrobot's mechanics are solid, the gameplay is as tight as arseholes, and Astro is fluid and responsive. And the pacing is impeccable. Load times are non-existent, with action restarting after death almost instantaneously. The stages are all wonderfully vibrant and flawlessly crafted, and the music is all happy sounding and stuff. I particularly like it in the song where a lady with a French accent says, "Your name?" Reminds me of the time I got questioned by a policewoman in Paris. She lost her temper really quickly. But really, what makes Astrobot so much fun to play is how it feels. And a good amount of that is down to the DualSense controller and the haptic feedback. For example, this is a game that actually makes you feel like you're walking on a giant inflatable duck. I mean, it really feels like it. And I should know, having climbed to the top of a giant inflatable duck IRL life. Glastonbury 2007 during Iggy Pop, there was, was it a duck? Now I think of it, it might have been a giant inflatable fruit salad. But anyway, this game feels alive, constantly showering you with objects, tons of little bits of physics-based junk for you to crash around in and wade through. I wonder how many objects they'll be able to fit on screen with a PlayStation 5 Pro for £700. It makes the game feel dynamic and interactive and deeply satisfying. Like this. Using the elephant vacuum to suck out the goo from birds' eggs is extremely satisfying. Even more satisfying than the lucid dream I have where I roundhouse kick James Corden into a volcano. And how satisfying is it to cut up logs and other objects with your laser shoes? 10, probably. 10. And this game has got the most satisfying chainsaw in video games since Doom. It could be a whole game on its own. I mean, Pressure Wash Simulator is very popular. Why not Laser Shoes Chainsaw Worker Experience simulation game? Title needs work, but it could be a PS5 Pro system seller. The gameplay is so tactile that there are moments in Astrobot that are completely unique. Like punching an angry caterpillar up inside his throat and then punching him in the face with the other fist is just chef's piss. More games need to let you do this. And Astrobot is the first game with a really satisfying pair of secateurs, which is about time. Although I haven't played Garden Simulator or Garden Life, a cozy simulator, so... Did I say this game makes you feel like you're actually walking on floorboards? Floorboards! The feedback you get from playing Astrobot goes straight to the joy centre of your brain, the mirth mantle as it's called, and it is very potent. Because the game is so singularly focused on pure platforming action, with no unnecessary filler like crafting or boring cutscenes, your attention never really wanes. Because Astrobot is solely gameplay driven, small details like how it feels to shuffle through long grass or bounce on top of an inflatable whale really stand out and punctuate the gameplay in an extremely pleasing manner. It's like game feel is a core feature. Like, I really love smashing pumpkins in this game. The rumble you feel in your hands as they explode is more satisfying than seeing Soundgarden in concert. And the gun in the Dude Raider section is also extremely satisfying. The DualSense triggers give it a real kick. Popping a juggling ball in they robot ass is dope as fudge. Ooh, Sony. I know how to fix Concord. Replace all the guns with this one, and then replace all the characters with anything else. Speaking of interesting and dynamic PlayStation characters, this game's full of them. Set to the backdrop of a PlayStation party, there's an entire museum of Astrobots to collect, all cosplaying as your favourite PlayStation characters, and some extra ones. And it's really lovingly done, like a playful PlayStation Easter egg hunt, as opposed to like a look how cool we are, buy our stuff exploitative extravaganza, which it could have easily been. But Astrobot communicates a deep understanding and awareness of its fellow PS pals, and it conveys it jovially. Like this dependable smuggler bot. He tells the occasional white lie. Classic. It's just an amusing and subtle nod to how Joel in The Last of Us is actually the villain, and fans of the game really like to play that down. Astrobot is a love letter to PlayStation, but it's often a little bit self-deprecating, like how this stage here features a giant crab, which is in reference to Sony's abysmal E3 presentation in 2006.
Giant enemy crab.
And in the God of War themed level, there's a bit where you have to squeeze through a gap. It's a clever little reference to all of the tedious gap squeezing you have to do in God of War due to its failure to utilise the PS5's SSD. Genius! And in the Uncharted level, there's a piece of paper with some incoherent squiggles on it. Now, you might think it's just a map, but it's actually a direct replica of a page of notes written by Mark Wahlberg on how to play the character Sully in the Uncharted film. They couldn't get any Spider-Man references in this game, but instead, they very subtly referenced the Tobey Maguire Spidey Reflex lunch tray catch scene with this robot server, and I really wasn't expecting that. But as self-deprecating as Astrobot may be of PlayStation's beloved assets, at no point does this IP parade ever feel cynical. Astrobot is so endearing, it makes me think PlayStation's history is worth celebrating. Which it is, of course, why not? 30 years of memorable characters and entertaining IPs. Video game nostalgia is fun. I mean, video game nostalgia is not what it used to be, but still, Astrobot does a really good job of it. But what I think is really interesting about Astrobot being the champion of PlayStation's heritage and the lovable little mascot who dresses up as all your favourite characters is that PlayStation already had a guy who did that. The Sackboy from Little Big Planet. He was the cutesy little guy with the floaty jump. He was the one dressing up as Kratos and Aloy. He was front and centre on the cover of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, and don't you forget it. Yeah. So I hope they can coexist. I think there's plenty of room for platforming mascots after all. Nintendo can do it with Mario, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Yoshi, Impy and Chimpy and whoever else. So yeah. And then there's Astro Boy, of course, who's all like, hey, kinda close to my name there, buddy. But I'm not really bothered about him so much. But there's a lot of love for the PlayStation studios in this game. Studios, I might add, who are a lot bigger than Team Asobi, the studio behind Astrobot, who it's worth noting consists of only 60 developers who've spent 3 years making this game. Those are insane numbers for a game of this quality. 60 developers have made a game where there is literally nothing to complain about, except for the part where the giant robot is watering the garden in the rain. Is he stupid? And they've made it one of the best looking games ever around. This is a truly next-gen presentation. It looks delicious, like literally. Look at those gelatinous cubes. Who else licked their screen when they saw those? And that ice cream topping. Who else licked their screen when they saw that? And look at the imprint on that bubble. How have they made it so a little indent of a little robot in a bubble looks edible? That's what I want to know. That's next-gen bubble indentation right there. And if there was any way I could pay £700 to make that bubble indentation look even the tiniest bit better, then I definitely would. Even if it was imperceptible to the human eye, I definitely would. And look, here's one of those goobers from earlier, with the entire level reflecting in his eyeball skins. Goober. I also like how the level reflects in the shiny bit on the back of Astro's head too. That's cool. Oh wait, the lemurs don't show up. Boo! Oh no, wait. Could they be vampire robot lemurs? Oh, this is Game of the Year. Oh, and let's talk about the liquid in this game. Liquid in this game looks really sumptuous, like premium jollop. splashing around in it is great. It reminds me of when Mum used to make a jelly just for me to play with, so she could lie down and have a brandy and watch Terminator. And Astrobot is finally a game that allows me to exhibit my sweet pouring skills. You know, I could have been a mixologist, if it weren't for my basic lack of motor skills and any desire to be a mixologist whatsoever. So yeah. Another thing about this game, it took me 6 hours to complete it. 6 hours. That's less than the amount of time it takes to read the names of all the outsourced developers in the credits for The Last of Us Part 2. To reiterate, Astrobot was made by a 60-person team. I hope more than anything, this is the main takeaway from Sony and the wider game-making industry. Short games are good. The short game is something of a lost art, and it makes such a welcome change to play one again, as opposed to something like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which has taken me 90 hours so far and I've still not finished it, and I've started to give up on the side content too. Astrobot director Nicolas Doucet sums it up for me by saying, "Having something that's 12 to 15 hours of condensed fun, where there wasn't 5 minutes in which you felt it was long or lacking, is much more valuable than 40 hours when you have some moments that you feel like skipping." Amen, brother. And it's interesting that he brings up the concept of value there, because I personally am going to feel more like I've wasted money on a massive game that was too much of a slog that I didn't finish, as opposed to a short one I finished quickly but really enjoyed. But that's just me. Also, this game actually makes you feel like you're walking on a big inflatable sun thing. So, game of the year, and it's not even close. Right, that's the end of the video. And if you made it all the way here, then whatever is wrong with you is no small thing, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Right then, bye.